Welcome back to another episode, guys. Today we are up on top of this knob. This is the spot last week we were discussing. We've been in here clearing invasives out and creating a better bedding area, a better food source for the deer. And we're going to discuss how you can work with your food plots and work on native habitat. And don't just focus on, one thing. It's about the bigger picture, which is tying it all in. So that's taking the bedding cover, creating the transition, and then finally the destination food source, or utilizing a food plot in between that destination food source if it's like corn or soybeans. So we've been clearing this out. This was full of hedge, locust, and honeysuckle, and it was a mess. But now we got native plants in here, flowers in here, grasses. We do have some honeysuckle that kind of stump sprouted, our hedge stump sprouted, which is okay. It'll provide some food. We just need to make sure we get those terminated at some point before they start to take over again. We do not want this area to wind up looking like the rest of this behind me, which is where we're going to wind up cutting this winter to try to get it to look like this. If you look up there, opened up the canopy, removed a lot of junk, hackberry. Got a lot of dead ash up here as well, unfortunately. I wish the ash wasn't just dying off, but it is. We girdled a bunch of locusts that's dying now. This is a project that's going to take time. It can be intimidating. We talked about this in the springtime. We showed you guys what it looked like when we started, and it's a one-man show. I mean, I'm doing all this by myself, and look how clear this looks now. We got a big brush pile. We'll eventually burn that off. So now that we have this awesome native response, let's talk about tying it all together and creating a plan before you just come in an area and clear it out. When it comes to invasives, I mean, I would encourage anybody just go get rid of them, even if you don't have a plan or any rhyme or reason for, how you're removing them. But for me, I like to look at the bigger picture, and I like to create hunting scenarios. That's the point of all of this, is to create quality habitat to help, deer, turkey, small game species flourish. But then it also helps me out because I can come in and tactically create really good hunting opportunities. So when designing this, I knew this was a really good bedding area. I knew I could use a west-northwest wind on this spot in conjunction with the food plot down in the bottom. So the design here is to clear this out, just let this come back in native vegetation. Not as of right now anyway, I'm not going to plant a food plot in here. I really would like to just give this spot to the deer 100% of the time. They got thick bedding. They're going to transition through here. They'll have some browse early before this stuff, starts to die off, and then they'll work their way down the hill. There's also a timber pond back here. I do have a stand over that. So this all ties in together. You got thick bedding, a transition here, roll down the hill to the timber pond. November time when those bucks, are building testosterone and they're getting worn out, they'll be hitting that water. I got a really good stand location. And then from there, they'll work their way down the hill. And I have trail systems for the deer to use. I also have trail systems that parallel the deer trails with the wind in my face, giving me an advantage coming in and out. It's all about access, all about giving, security cover to the deer, giving them food, and then just not overpressuring it. So this has been a long project, but it's slowly coming together, and it's something you guys can do. You can even start, this year. I know it's August now, and we're thinking about deer season, and a lot of people probably are, planting fall food plots and not really thinking about doing timber work, but it's helped me out. And it'll help you guys out too, and it's something you shouldn't overthink because, at the end of the day, those deer, yes, they're going to come to those food plots. But if they're not bedding close to those food plots, if they don't have good security cover, good native habitat, they're likely bedding elsewhere, which means they're probably getting to your food plots closer to dark, if not way after dark. And then it creates, a low chance of a good hunting scenario. And likely what you're going to end up doing is coming in those areas, hunting those food plots, which is another topic we'll discuss maybe here in a couple weeks about how to hunt them. But you come in, you hunt those food plots, you leave scent behind, you don't see your target buck. He comes in 2 hours later because he's bedding way too far away, and he smells your trail system coming in and out, and you know, that's all it takes. You know, one time can be enough for that deer to, you know, just smarten up just enough, maybe change how he comes in and out of there, and you know, it can make it just that much tougher. So anything you can do to increase your odds is the way to go. And creating quality cover, think about bedding, water, food, and how you access these areas, and that's the ticket. So thanks for tuning in on this week's episode, guys. We'll see you next week.